So we go on to Pluto, another outer planet. And Janessa, I know you've been looking at this quite deeply, so would you like to?
Yeah, I think this is kind of crazy, right? Like this is the last dip that Pluto will make into Capricorn in our lifetimes. I think this is the story that's been unfolding since 2008. Once Pluto goes into Aquarius permanently later this year in November, well, semi-permanently, the next until it will be there until 2040. So, yeah, it's like a big shift. I'm thinking about this a lot in terms of like this retrograde being this last check-in with where we've been. You know, what are the themes? Like, we need to get really clear on what those themes are. I think for me, it's still sussing it out, right? It's like, okay, that's how many years of data since 2008 that we've been collecting in our personal stories. And also as the collective being that it's this outer planet. So Capricorn being a cardinal sign was kind of when being that it starts things, and thinking of that in terms of like planting a seed and starting something new. So like for me, this retrograde is really about clarifying what seed was planted. And then whatever seed is planted is going to be carried out by Aquarius. And it's probably many seeds, right? It's like, again, so much time and so many things that are happening. But yeah, the retrograde always asking us to revisit, revise any opportunity. This is a huge opportunity to make any changes to where we want to see things going. I think, personally and collectively, yeah, I think I have a lot to say about that, but I think those are like the big themes. We had those two full moons in Capricorn in July, the last of which was at that 29th degree where Pluto will retrograde to. So if we can think back to then, things that were being highlighted, there's a lot of omens throughout the year that have been pointing to this degree and to this retrograde of like, what is it? What do we need to really listen to ourselves and to like tapping into like the energies at large and kind of use the retrograde to discern, I think, a lot. What do you think about it, Sonia?
Yeah, much the same. I mean, I've put down like the wisdom of transformation because I think of Pluto as empowering, that it can be difficult changes and scary changes that it brings, but I think it makes sure you're on the right path. And if you're not on the right path, you can be put there sometimes against your will, almost. Sort of the adjustments in your life to get you to the right place can be very difficult and challenging if you've not been listening to the omens and the signs around you that have been like hinting at the way forward. I think if you're tuned into that and you're following them, it's simpler and it's easier, which is not to say that it's somebody's fault if they're not. It's just that it can be more challenging. Whereas if you see those signs, I think the feedback seems to be that it's not as difficult when Pluto's transiting a sign. But from what I've learned so far, what the people I've spoken to and the transits that they've experienced, as they were having those transits, it was easier to make the transitions. And also understanding why you're being asked to make the transition and what you're being asked to do helps as well. Like you're explaining sort of what's happening in Capricorn for you, looking at the timing, it helps to then look at, okay, what am I being asked to do here? And understand what's changing for you, or to see the process of what's been changing. As well, like you say, looking back to 2008 and what's been happening since then, the shifts while Pluto's gone into Aquarius, and now what's being sewn up and finished. It's like the third coat of paint, isn't it, when it goes back? It's like it's done all the prep and the pre-work. I mean, you've been decorating recently, so you know how much work goes into that prep. That's like the hardest stage. Like that first pass is like the really hardest work. And then the third pass is like the nice bits you get to pull the masking tape off and see how it looks and buy your work. So this should be the easiest part of the process. Putting all the nice trimmings on, putting the lights on and taking photos to share with our friends of what we've created. That's what we hope. I've made some notes of the dates. It's the 12th of October 24 that it will turn direct. So we've got it retrograde till then. And again, so that will be another shift at that 29 degrees. So until then, we're reviewing and revising, as you said, and then things start moving forward again. And then it re-enters Aquarius on the 19th of November. And also that Capricorn and Aquarius, they're the only two signs together in the zodiac that are ruled by the same sign, that are ruled by the same planet of Saturn. So there's a continuation here that you don't get when planets change through other signs. Usually there's a shift to a different planet, whereas here there's a continuation of the story. So it might not be such a huge shift as there are when there's ingresses to other planets, but it might be a continuation that Capricorn is more of a builder sign that's earthy and building and creating something. And then in Aquarius, we get the big ideas and the big picture. And maybe an idea of where we're really going with this. How far can we take it? What do we really want to do with it? But in Capricorn now with the retrograde, we're being given the chance to see what put all the foundations in that we really need. Have we done all the work it needs? Because this is like our last chance to put those structures in place. So I think that's what we need to be thinking about at this time. Wherever Capricorn is in your chart will give you a clue as to what's needed. I mean, for example, for me, it's my 9th house, and I've just signed up against my will because I was planning to do it in January. But as it turns out, looking at the astrology before Pluto goes direct, it seems maybe it was Pluto had other ideas that I needed to sign up for it now for a course, another astrology course that I was planning to do when the course I'm currently studying finishes, but the timing and course logistics changed. So yeah, maybe that's what Pluto's asking me to do, to get my astrology structure, which has been what Pluto in Capricorn I think has been about for me, because it's 9th house, it's that higher learning, and it's the house of like astrology as well. So I think that's what it's been asking me, but also Capricorn, like you say, being the cardinal sign of starting something. It's like that's also what was initiated in my life, was coming to astrology. So what started for you between 2008 and 9 and now? And have you put in as much structure as it needs? Because when Pluto goes into Aquarius, it may well build into something bigger than you imagined, possibly. Or it may change and shift, and you need that structure in place to support it. Was there anything else you wanted to do?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty, but I think that's a good note to end on.
Thank you, Pluto.